Hello everybody, my name's James, welcome to the Gameweek14 Planet FPL Deadline stream, and it's live, and I'm late because my son decided to do a dump at 10:02 AM. These things happen. Yep, you can tell by the curtains, I'm on daddy duty while doing this deadline stream. Right, let's crack on with it. 51 minutes to deadline or so. I've got eyes and ears everywhere for potential Manchester City team news. I'll be trying to keep an eye on that for you ahead of deadline, and we'll try and get through as many of your questions as possible ahead of the Game Week 14 deadline. Let me take you through the graphics first and foremost. You'll see my team, top right hand corner. Yep, attacking the -4. Emerson and Bowen gone. Trent and Rashford in. I've decided to start Andreas Pereira over Doherty, but if there's no Haaland, he's going to play anyway. To the right of that, at the bottom, you'll see captaincy picks in order of preference this week. I still think Haaland currently, that's where I'm at. Ready to move if I get clear, concrete information that he's not in the team. To the left, you'll see my correct score predictions for all 10 games in this game week. Right at the bottom, you'll see the fixture ticker for all 20 teams, their next 5 fixtures, which will obviously run us up now to game week 18. I guess some people beginning to be thinking about what they're doing on the other side during the unlimited period. And of course, the benching dilemmas are on screen directly below me. I will take you through them. The player with the tick is the preferred choice between the two players to start in your team, should you have both. On page 1, and these run in order, pages 1 to 4, Zaha over Almiron, Almiron over Trossard, Trossard over Maddison, Maddison over Pereira. On to page 2, Pereira over Doherty, Doherty over Perisic, Perisic over Shamaka, Shamaka over Bowen. Page 3, Bowen over Dalot, Dalot over Bailey, Bailey over Gay, Gay over Cucurella. Page 4, Cucurella over Solanke, over Dunk, over Cody, over Timothy Castagne. And finally, page 5, I don't think it's going to matter at all this week. It's your goalkeepers, Raya over Pope, Pope over Kepa, Kepa over Pickford, Pickford over Danny Ward, which essentially means most of you will probably have Danny Ward play the alternative. Those of you who ain't got Danny Ward have possibly got Everson, play the alternative. So that's your graphics on stream. Hopefully those in themselves will answer many of your questions. As said, I will keep my eyes and ears peeled for Manchester City news. For the patrons, please check sources before tagging me. I'm going to be all over Slack, keeping an eye on things. So do let us know, but please check the sources in the first instance. And that also goes for people in the chat as well. Don't be Billy Big Bollocks. We know that Booner's going to tweet something. Just, check it out first. Right, let's do the questions. Emma Jones is first. Says, morning, James. Firmino to DCL or hold? That's a hold for me, Emma. Good luck. Fancy Billy says, what's happening, Jimbo? I've been out of the loop for a while, so would like one Maverick defender and one forward punt for the next 3 game weeks. Budget is around 11 million. Go as wacky as you like. Okay. Taiwo Awoniyi of Nottingham Forest. Seems pretty wacky. What does that leave you with for a defender? 5.3-ish, 2-ish. Wacky as I like, eh? Mikolenko. It's wacky. Lin Tian Bao says, hey, James. Thoughts on doing Solanke to Wilson? I can roll and reassess next week, but I like the block of 3 fixtures rather than just the last 2. Thanks. Well, until Flaggate, that was my intended transfer this week. When I say Flaggate, I mean essentially Jared Bowen's doubt has kind of made me look at different options and decide to go another way. But had I been selling Solanke, it would have been Wilson for me. So I'm okay with that if you want to do it. Stephen Moore says, hi James, do you prefer Bailey to Martinelli or Solanke to any striker up to 8.1? Jesus, Tony and DCL the main considerations. 4 yellows for 2 of those are slightly concerning for a 3-week window. Yep, so I guess Stephen, what you have to ask yourself is you go for Tony, and I think Tony's probably best this week. If you go for Tony and he gets booked, are you in a really bad spot next week? If you're not, crack on, do it, I guess. Jesus, you might want to move on anyway next week. So you might be thinking, right, 1 week punt in and out. DCL, 3 good fixtures. I think overall it's very fair to say. We do obviously have concerns about fitness. Obviously did score against Palace next week. I think Calvert-Lewin would be the least interesting of the 3, personally. And obviously consider Callum Wilson as well if you don't have. Still consider Mitrovic if you don't have. Mike Hasty says, morning James, 2 free transfers available. Would you do Salah for Bowen and Patterson for Doc to give me the exact money required? I already have decent cover on my bench. Or Saka for Trossard and roll. My genuine take is, unless we get confirmation that Haaland isn't starting, if you don't own Salah, I don't think he's worth buying. That's been my take. For me, he's sitting there, and I know I kind of got you've got him, James, that's fine. You want to buy him and you want to captain him, fine, do it. I like, though, Mike, that you're saying to me and explaining you've got decent cover on your bench. I think that makes buying Patterson easier. I think Doherty starts today, is my instinct, but I only put that at 60%. And that's why I bottled it and put him on the bench, because thinking about it in hindsight, and I did intend to start him over Pereira, I got a 60% Doherty versus probably 100% Pereira. And it's a close decision anyway. So that's why I've decided to stick Pereira in the lineup. If you really, really want Salah, Mike, you crack on. How are you going to feel if he blanks? Do you want to move it on, etc., etc.? One second. I'm just checking some sources on some stuff potentially. Because I am aware there's some rumours flying about. Let me put it that way. Hector Palmer says, good morning, James. Hope you're well. Firmino or Jesus for the next three? Jesus for me. From that, mind you, that said, with the four yellows, that would be a pain. Again, depends on your squad. Prefer Nunes to Firmino if you can get there. I'd certainly say that. You're probably Firmino. Stefan B says, morning, who is better for the next three, Rashford or Saka? Saka. Now, I've gone Rashford, but it's part funding, obviously, the fact I've gone rogue and gone for Trent, haven't I? But straight choice between the two, Saka for me. James Brennan says, hi James, hope you had a great Friday. Would you move either Mitrovic to Nunes or Zaha to Saka for free this week, or just hold the transfer? I think the power of holding the transfer there, James, would be pretty sweet for you, mate, to be honest. Sean says, I feel for you this morning. Maybe just put one big graphic up saying, I know fuck all about Haaland, thanks. At the moment, I know fuck all, but I'm trying to see if I can find something out for you. Navin McGunnan says, hi James, Bowen for Saka or Rashford. I presume you mean buy one. Again, repeat what I said the previous. I would buy Saka. The reason I've gone Rashford was to enable Trent. Pup says, good morning, James. Who would you replace Perisic with? Only stipulations that he can't be a City player. Depends how much you need that player. Next week looks awkward for clean sheets. You obviously got the Tottenham players you can't really go into at the moment. You've got no Reece James. Don't think you can go Chilwell. If you can get up to one of the three attacking Liverpool defenders, not Joe Gomez, then obviously that's the one as far as I'm concerned. Failing that, to be honest, Ben White at Arsenal. But how does that leave you in terms of your team looks next week? I'm not sure, but I think right now in front of your face, Arsenal's probably the call without full information in terms of what your budget is. Birth Media says, James for Shaw, thoughts? Do you mean Shaw for James? We've got a lot of questions seem to be backwards this morning. Shaw for James, I prefer Dallo, to be totally honest, at the moment. But otherwise, yeah, fine. Zarit says, let's win Andy once. Smash it. Greetings from sunny Greece. Good luck, pal. Keir says, hi, James. Bowen and the boy, that's Solanke, out for a hit for Almiron and Nunes. Means benching Pereira. Option B is Martinelli and Wilson. Could also just sell Bowen and bench Solanke. Any thoughts? There's a lot going on there, Kia, is what I'd say. Look, Pereira's obviously a great option this week, but it's certainly not essential to start him. I think it comes down to personal preference. And the reality is, he's not going to return massively often, is he? I think there's a little bit of influence. Oh, nice little haul at Leeds last week. His returns in home games are decent. He's somewhere in sort of around about the 4-point mark per home game so far. That's pretty good. So certainly you can play him. Martinelli and Wilson seems good. Is my instinct to that. Rather than the hit. I think I prefer that personally. Ben M says 2 transfers. Trossard to Almiron or Rashford and Roll. Or bin off Zahara as well to get Foden. Thanks as always. Rolling is a really strong idea, I think, Ben, into next week. Next week's fixtures are a lot more difficult. I think there could be some power in that. Nigel Sam says, hi James, Bowen and Barnes to Foden and Rashford -4 or Bowen to Saka for free and play Barnes or Andreas. Yeah, both reasonable. Overly against playing Harvey Barnes. I wouldn't be overly against that. Barnes or Andreas, who would have start? It's probably Andreas on the fixture, but Barnes reasonable to keep. I don't think it's like, oh my god, it's City, I can't play him. There's no Kyle Walker, so I don't feel that way at the moment. And obviously you would think Walker would go up against Barnes, so Barnes might have a little bit more joy than he normally would against City, to be honest. Berticus says, hey James, going to sell Sinistera this week, have no Arsenal coverage. Should I get Martinelli in for the next 3 or go for Rashford as a slight differential? Only 7 million in the bank. Do I think Rashford is a better choice than Martinelli over the next 3? I'm going to say no. I think Martinelli could outscore him just on tomorrow alone. Now, if he blanks, you'd probably rather look at Rashford from next week, considering the Chelsea away fixture. They've both got 2 away. I don't think there'll be a lot in it. I think the immediate there for Martinelli is I'd go that way. If, of course, you want the differential, go for it. But I would remind you that it's game week 14 and you don't necessarily need that differential at this stage of the season. It's subject to where you are and how quickly you're trying to catch up. For me, it would be Martinelli, still the preference of the 2. Owen Walsh says, morning, James. What do you expect Boona to pull this morning? Best of luck, mate. I think he'll probably tweet that he's going to start. Is what I think he'll go something like Haaland starts, Foden bench, something like that. Yeah, he'll go for something like that, I think. Kartik Rao, what to do with Firmino? If sell, then Darwin or Jesus? It's absolute fine to hold, I think. Is that worth a transfer to move? Probably not. Zaris says, what's wrong with Soufal lately? Stuck with him. He don't play neither as a sub. Well, Suj seemed to think yesterday on our Patreon podcast. Owen, I don't know where that is, mate, but thank you. That's right throwing me off. What's the fucking question? Soufal. Suj seems to think that he'll play. Oh, yeah, thanks, Owen. That's fine. Like, I'm cool. I'm not looking at that. That's not a bother, mate. Thank you for checking handles. Suj thinks he'll play. I don't. I think Johnson will play again, to be honest. Or if Dawson's available, Kera plays right back. I think that's probably a sell, to be honest, Saris. Rishi Segal. There is already a fake Boona tweet going out, by the way, just to make people aware. Rishi Segal says, hi, James. I have no Arsenal coverage. I love Boona, but he's such a lovely fucking bloke. That's why I'm never going to criticise him. I have no Arsenal coverage, so he's Zaha to Saka and James to Shaw/Share -4. Okay, I'll just do the defender switch. I think I'll just do the defender switch, mate. Hans-Petter Forstensen says, morning, James, -4 Bowen to Saka. I have no Arsenal players. I'm not sure I'd have done that, personally. I've done mine to Rashford, partly, to be honest, the hit is Trent. The hit isn't Rashford for me, the hit is Trent. Because obviously I could have just moved Bowen to Rashford for free, so the effective is Trent. Rashford enables Trent, so the hit is for Trent. Would I do that for Saka, knowing that I would rather have Bowen next week than Saka? That's a difference as well. Whereas I think Rashford versus Bowen next week's more competitive. I would rather have Bowen next week than Saka. I think that's the sort of thing people have to consider. And Bowen, of course, could still play. But I had every intention to probably bench him this week anyway. Keir says, are we benching both Mitrovic and Pereira next week? Yes, probably. But what I'd say is, like, I've got Mitrovic. If I land in a position where I'm in trouble, I'm not going to be smashing hits, I don't think, to remove Mitrovic. I just play him at City because I'd take a look at it and go, City could beat them 4-1 if score. And I think that's, you have to remember, he's such a talisman, Mitrovic. Pereira, I think, yes, you'd bench. Mitrovic, a lot of people are going to move to Shamaka, but if you've still got, I'd probably start him, would be my take. Because as well, next week, as I already mentioned, the fixtures aren't good enough to make you think, oh, I'll go for these guys. You know, would I play Gay at West Ham rather than Mitrovic at City? No, I'm just going to play Mitrovic if that's the sort of choice I have, for example. Andrew Jarvis says, morning, James. Hope all is well. My wife has 2 dilemmas in her differential team. 1, start Maddison or Cucurella. 2, Captain Wilson, Bruno Fernandes or Sterling. Good luck for the game week. I'll start Maddison at the 2. In terms of who's the captain from the other 3, I'd go Wilson. John Cale says, morning, James. What lineup would you pick for Spurs this week? Surely Doc over Royal. After that no-look pass and maybe Hill in the front 3. What would I pick, or what do I think he'll pick? what I think he'll pick is Loris. I think Sanchez will play instead of Romero. Dyer. I think probably Longley, just because he's a bit better. Davies in case Kiefer Moore plays. Wingbacks, I think Sessegnon. And I'd be about 75 to 80% confident of that. I think Doherty, but I'm no better than about 60%. Basically slightly better than 50-50. Midfield is probably still going to be Højbjerg, Bentancur, but I think there's every chance Bissouma may come in for one of the two. And I think front three will be Lucas, Son and Kane. If you'd have asked me 24 hours ago, I would have said I think Brian Hill will start. And I'd have no complaints if he did for a fixture like this, by the way. Conte's comments in a press conference yesterday suggested that won't happen. Nothing worthwhile as yet in terms of potential news on Manchester City. Yo says Foden and Welbeck -4 in Bowen and Mitrovic out. Nah, it's like a desperation to get Foden. -4 for Danny Welbeck over Talisman Mitrovic. Can't be having that, mate, I'm afraid. Prabnor says, hello, James. Hope you're doing well. Should I start Trossard or Pereira? Trossard, actually. Shoney can do it in the big games, right? Almost better for him. So I actually would be Trossard. Gurdon88, Rashford or Ben White? As in start, it's Rashford, isn't it? Despite the high probability of an Arsenal clean sheet, they are the highest probability for a clean sheet, unsurprisingly, this week with Nottingham Forest at home. But if you've got someone like Rashford, I don't think you're benching that. Michael Louis says, hi James, would you prefer Zaha or Saka for the next three? Currently on Zaha, I'm wondering if I should go to Saka using my free transfer. Thanks. I would prefer Saka, but I wouldn't make that move. Would be my take. Ian says, hi Jane. Well, sometimes at the weekend it's been known. Would you prefer, evening from a Southend United fan in Melbourne, Australia. I've been to Roots Hall. What a lovely place. What are your memories of Klinsmann's first spell at Spurs? And for the younger viewers, just how good was he? Loved the content. Incredible. The Athletic podcast on Tottenham, View from the Lane, did a podcast with Jurgen Klinsmann this week, which any Tottenham fan should listen to that. It's incredible. Really, really great podcast. Klinsmann's so open and honest and so jovial and stuff. Still loves Spurs. It was unbelievable when we bought him. One of the most, probably the most shocking thing I've known. He was really the first already well-established world-class player that joined the Premier League in the Premier League era, I would say. And he didn't have a weakness. Left foot, right foot, header, hold up, link play, passing, shooting, pace. He wasn't incredible at anything. It was a bit like kind of Haaland light. He didn't have any real weaknesses. He was just good at everything. He was nowhere near Haaland's level, by the way. But what a fantastic goal scorer. He actually finished, I didn't know this, he actually finished second in the Ballon d'Or in 95, I think, when George Weah won it. And it was the first year they allowed non-European players. He's funny, isn't he? They allowed non-European players to be voted for in the vote. So if that had been delayed an extra year, Klinsmann would have a Ballon d'Or to his name. That's how good a forward he was. Incredible player. FPL find it not so good on his second spell. FPL Finding Glory says, great content always, so thank you. No question. Give the stream a like, peeps. Good luck for the game week. Yep, thanks very much. Appreciate that, my friend. If you're in the chat, smash the like button. I mean, it literally costs nothing. This is free content. Yeah, there's no super chat or any shit like that. I just try and blitz through this. Smash a like. It helps the Planet FPL algorithm. Jonathan says, I'm rolling this week. Good luck, everyone. Smash a like. Cheers, James. You're very welcome. Cheers, pal. Therese Keeves says, hi, James. Best goalkeeper replacement for Sanchez. He's been dreadful. Thanks. Wouldn't bother. Would not bother. After Chelsea, you got Wolves away, Villa at home. Is anything there worth a transfer? No, I would keep, mate. Hasselbank's win. Hi, James. Thoughts on Conte's Taliban ball? Mourinho's brand of football at Spurs was clear. Yeah, clearly shit. He made me laugh so hard, just spilt my drink absolutely everywhere, mate. Doesn't even deserve an answer. Hi, James says, best Solanke replacement for the next three. 7.8 available, thanks. Wilson was my preference. Meninda Prihar says, I own Schumacher but frustrated with his mins with Antonio, a problem I should have foreseen. Admittedly, is there more upside with DC over the next three? At the moment, I'm benching Schumacher for Andreas and rolling, and that's what I do, Meninda. Yeah, bench and roll from that. Simon B says, play Andreas or Perisic. Play Andreas or Perisic to Trent for a -4. I'm going to say, I need a tissue. I'm going to say Trent -4. Fuck it. Oh, God. Yeah, bollocks. Most of us aren't going there. And I think there's something in this next 3 for him. It's got to be, hasn't there? There's nothing statistically or on the fixture I can say, oh, yeah, do it. Like, it's just an I can, and it's I know I can get off again at unlimited. Moss says, hi, mate. If we get news Haaland is out, surely we're all jumping on the Darwin madness train. The only reason I would sell Haaland is if someone like Sam Lee at The Athletic come out and said, Haaland's out, there's a chance he won't play before the World Cup, then yeah, I'm selling. And I'd buy Kane, personally, in that situation. And yes, I'd take the -4 for it if it came to it, but nah, I'm not, because he's benched. You ain't going to want to go without him for the next 2, Fulham at home and Brentford at home. Not worth it. Soft Correz, good morning, James. Okay. Ali Bismo says, get Wilson for -4, play Andreas. That I'd probably just play Andreas, I think. Craig G says, smash a like, folks. Thank you, Craig. Chim says, want to get an Arsenal defender. Who would get Saliba with 4 yellows? Gabriel injury doubts. Zinchenko soon back to Tierney rotation ahead. It's the one you haven't mentioned, Chim. It's Ben White. Straightforward. Wouldn't take the Tomiyasu gamble at this stage. And I can't believe that since I said smash a like, only about probably 20% of you in here have done that. The other 80% don't like pressing fun buttons. That's a shame. Get Ben White, mate. Softcore Zeg says, please everyone give this man a like for all great effort he does for us. Cheers, mate. Good luck. Keith Redfield says, do you think Haaland will be okay to play? I don't know. Look, here's my instinct on it. My instinct is he probably will start. I've got no information, nothing. I've no connection at Manchester City or anything. I don't know anything. My instinct is he'll start. And my instinct is if he doesn't, he probably won't play at all. That's my take. So I think he's either available and starts. He's either not available. This is not going to clarify anything. He's either not available and doesn't start, or he's a sub. I mean, that's obviously straightforward. But I think in the case that he's a sub, he probably only gets used if they're desperate. That's generally how I'd think. I genuinely think there's a chance that he'd be sub and he'd stay a sub. I think that's a possibility. So if we see the team and he's a sub, I'm not going to go into panic mode. Not at all. Not at all. And I just don't think... I still think Haaland's the best choice. Like, I think Liverpool will get a couple. I think City could as I've got 3-1 City at Leicester, right? I still think it's the best choice. If I didn't think it was the best choice, I'd go Salah. Salah's a great vice-captaincy option for me. I would be gutted, I think, if I went the other way around and Haaland starts. Because I think it's close enough that in my position, I don't need to take the gamble as such at the moment. I don't think. And listen, for those who go Salah, if Haaland ends up with a 1 point and Salah hauls, like, congratulations, very, very well done. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to go down that way. I really, really do. But my instinct is that Haaland will either start or a 0 point. I think that's probably where it's at, in which case it doesn't really matter. That's kind of my take. Is the possibility for the 1 pointer there? Of course it is. And that's actually all we're worried about, isn't it? Is the 1 pointer. Now listen, if he comes on and they need a goal, there's every chance he may even fucking get it anyway. So, yeah, it's Haaland for me. That's kind of what I've decided. I think if I get concrete news that he's a substitute, or obviously if I get concrete news that he's not in the team, I would obviously move it to Salah and pick a different vice-captain, because it's silly not to, in case obviously Salah didn't play tonight for whatever reason. But I think, like, unless I'm absolutely certain he's a sub, I'm just going to leave it. I think that's my take. And the 1 pointer is inevitable now, isn't it? But listen, most of us who captained him are done with, like, those who captained him over Salah last week had the good luck. I wouldn't resent those who go the other way and get the good luck this week. Not at all. Lewis King says City drifted from 1.25, 1.5 at the bookies. A sign, might be. Still very short odds. Keith says, and best of luck for the game. And to you too, Keith. Josh says, hi James, Zaha to Saka or Emerson West Ham to Saliba White to play over Gay. Both from -4, thanks. I think we'll take that -4 for the Arsenal defensive player, to be honest. I've got -4 for Trent for the attacking stuff. Clean sheet as usual would be a bonus. No, but I can't see what cover you've got on the bench, Josh. You know, if Haaland doesn't play, for example, and you've got, what are you left with coming in? And then effective, the -4 is the player over that rather than actually over Emerson, for example. So just consider that and have a think back, mate. Stuart Robinson says, morning, James. Keep up the good work. Have Salah. Would you consider Firmino to Wilson? Thanks. Yeah, I don't think I'd do it, though. Like, as much as I do think Callum Wilson's a very good option. Thanks, Owen. Cheers, mate. I wouldn't make that move, though. Liverpool got too good a fixture this week, considering that sort of thing. Stuart Robinson, that's what we've done. Yugu, thank you for replying to someone else. Cheers. Ragav Sooth says, any good Firmino replacements this week or just hold this week and go to somebody else? That's, again, same thing, hold. Florentin P, hi, James. Who to play, Gomez or Gay? I'd play Gomez, mate, personally. I think he stays in the team this week. I think next week away to Tottenham is probably a different matter. But yeah, I'd still go Gomez, mate. FPL Sponge is a Bournemouth fan. Apologies you can't get an away ticket. If I win the lottery and we stay up, we'll get boxed for next season. Cheers, mate. Much appreciated. Look, it is what it is. I couldn't go, so there's a few others I'll probably skip now. I think it was the case I was obviously so far I'd been to every single game and was in a probably rare position because of the break with the World Cup where it was probably a once in a, I wouldn't say once in a lifetime because I can't say it's not something I'll ever be able to do, but it was a real opportunity, I think, to go, yeah, I can go to every game this season, and I don't know if that's going to come again. So I did really want to go, but it is what it is. I should be set up to see the game. Bronium Bronze says, start Perisic, start Gay, or do Perisic to another defender like Shaw or White with my only free transfer thoughts. Yeah, I think so. I think, as I said on the Ask James stream last night, I think he's decided he wants to play Perisic because of his experience in the bigger games. And I'm pretty sure at this stage I want him to play in Marseille. Because he's going to need experience out on the pitch as well, considering he's not going to be on the touchline. So don't think he starts today. Listen, of course he can, but I don't think he does. You've got Liverpool next week. I think move it. Lin Tian Bao says, hey James, who do you think scores more from now until the World Cup? Almiron or Wilson? Thanks. Good luck this game week. Wilson, mate. Yeah, honestly. Consistent. Downstairs says, morning legend. How come Firmino isn't on your captaincy list? Awesome work from you again this week. All the best and good luck. Firmino isn't on the captaincy list because I think there's 10 better options. Spat it. It'd probably be 11th, to be honest, Dan. Mian says, hi James, do you think Romero and Son will play tonight? No, I don't think Romero will start. That could easily be wrong. But I'd probably put Romero about 35-40% to start. Son, I wouldn't be shocked if he was left out. But it's just a personal opinion. I think Son's like, he's a 95%, you would imagine. Not 100% though, honestly. But then who is for the teams competing in Europe? How many Manchester City players today could we say 100%? Edison? That's about it, really, isn't it? Ryan Remfrey says, no, I've skipped one, sorry. John Cahill, thoughts on Saka and Shawberto Carlos in for Perisic and Sinistera -4. Good luck for the game week, mate. Yeah, I don't hate that, particularly if obviously moving Perisic down the shore enables you to Saka. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Of course, another way to do it, consider Rashford as I've done, and maybe it's a free transfer instead. Ryan Remfrey says, hi mate, I've got Gator and Gay, which I'm not that keen on. Dunk and Castagne on the bench with bad fixtures this week. Would you switch Gay to Shaw or White for free transfer? Nah, just go with Gay, mate. I'm not keen on Palace at the moment, to be honest. It's not right, I don't think. Southampton have had a couple of decent results, and I think they might get something at Selhurst today. But in that position, no, I'd just start Gay. And in terms of Dunk, you've got one of the better ones for next week, right? Wolves away is one of the better ones for clean sheet potential. Richard Smith says, replace Bowen with Son or Salah this week. Already have Saka Zaha, Foden, but comfortably Mo Salah for me, Richard. Mayank says, who do you captain if Haaland doesn't play? Salah, Foden or Saka? The person who's got the vice captaincy on screen, mate. Another Hoop says, do you think Eze to Rashford for free is a good move or just hold? Thanks for the content. Again, although not being keen on Palace, I don't know if I want to sell their assets this week. Because it is still a good fiction. I think most people will think they'll win. I just have a sneaky that they won't, basically. I don't know, you know. Maybe even just a week of extra information. You might want to come back to something really different next week. Like, it won't be. Or like a Morgan Gibbs-White or something might suddenly look interesting. Or Paqueta could be back for West Ham. Or maybe if he's not, a Ben Rama, for example. I'd probably roll, I think, in that case, to be honest. Shahid says, hi James, hope all is well. Do I do Doherty to Saliba, Dallo for -4? Need a third defender. I have Cancelo, Trippier. Not sure if Doherty starts. Don't want to play Justin and Nico. Thank you. See, I think he starts. And it probably negates the -4 unless you can do what I'd done and go up to someone powerful like Trent. If you're just going to something at the same value, I don't think that's worth the hit. That would be my take. If you can really go up, then yeah, otherwise no. Akshay says Salah and Wilson for Kane and Zaha with -4, worth it. That's a no for me. Hi James says LP, worth transferring at Doherty. Have Gay as cover, 2 free transfer available. Thanks for the content. If you've got 2 frees, I think it's a yes. And just accept that there's every chance he will get a return today. Adam Lewis says, hi JMO, if you can choose someone to have in your team for the rest of the season, prime Liverpool Suarez or prime Liverpool Torres, who would it be? Oh, God, tough that. I mean, I think there was a period where sort of around 2008, I think there was nobody better than Torres. 2008, 2009, nobody better than him. But he did still need service, and I think Suarez was ridiculous. I think Suarez. Adam Lewis would like everyone to leave a like. Thank you, mate. Vishal says, vice captain Saka over Salah. Not for me. John Noonan says, James, would you do Mitro to Nunes for free, then captain Nunes over Kane? No and no, to be totally honest. Michael Mayhew, hi James. On One Football, no Haaland, no Cancelo. Cheers. This is probably a wind-up, mate, so I'm going to ignore that, Michael, unless you can legitimately provide me with the source. Ethan Hood, DMs are open, mate. Ethan Hood says, who should I make first sub in case Haaland doesn't play? Botman versus Schumacher, Patterson third sub. Context already have Trippier and Pope starting. Still be Botman for me, mate. Yeah, still be Botman. I'd arguably want to play him this week anyway. Very much considered Botman myself. Okay, thanks, Rob. Just let me know what that is, where you just have, once you've got it. Thank you, mate. And just make sure that the source is right, mate. Because I'm not going to go confirming that myself. Harry! Shh. Thank you, mate. Mahmood says Jesus or Haaland captain. I'm still on Haaland at the moment, mate. Bradley W. Salah and Firmino to Foden and Kane -4. Would have been 2 Liverpool players on Leeds for -4. Can't be having that. Kovan, any news from Cancelo? Not as yet. Tayram says, Bowen to Rashford. I got Saka, Foden, Martinelli and Zaha. Yeah, absolutely fine. Tayram says, Bowen and Firmino to Darwin and Rashford for -4. And captain Darwin. First option, mate. Reese Kemp says, dream holiday destination, mate. Istanbul, first week of June. Jason Sexton says, hi James, I have 2 free transfers. If Haaland is out, considering Salah and Bale. Harry! Shh. Thank you, mate. Hi James, I have 2 free transfers. If Haaland is out, considering Salah and Bailey to Foden and Saka, this gives me Andreas first bench rather than Bailey. So Haaland's out and then you're going to move Salah out. I can't be having that. Sorry. Simeon says, start Trips or Pereira. Trips all day long, mate. Mark Jones, all right, James. Bench 1 of Zaha, Almiron or Tony. Thanks, Almiron. The Sweeney, incredible at diving. Old Jurgen, yeah. He wasn't so bad when he come over. He was really bad for Germany. Dave Lister says, morning, James. Look at the Germany-Bulgaria game from '94. Some of his diving is disgraceful. It was really bad. Morning to you too, Dave. Nelvin Munyama says start Zaha or Almiron. Zaha. You're very welcome, Dave. No problem. Maynax says, should we let the yellow cards affect our decision making with only 3 game weeks left before the World Cup? Tony and Jesus on 4 yellow cards but have good short-term fixtures. Yeah, that's absolutely true, mate. But I think it is relevant to say you have to put yourself in your own position, and everybody will be different and say, okay, right, if that yellow card comes, what am I doing? Oh my God, I'm in big trouble. Okay, fine, it's a problem. And they're not guaranteed to be definitely better than the likes of Wilson or Mitrovic, right? Or even Shamaka next week if people want to wait an extra week, for example. So I think it's each individual. Would I expect Tony and Jesus to do well this week? Yes. Would I expect either of them to get booked? No, to be totally honest. Aninda Daz says, hi James, do you think Ronaldo will start the next 3 games because he needs it for World Cup? Worth a punt on him? No, mate. No, I've just bought Rashford for the exact opposite reasons. Matthew Hall says, thoughts on Firmino to Nunes for free? I don't think I would, to be totally honest. Mark Parker says Bowen to Saka -4. Again, okay with it, but how do you feel if he blanks, doesn't do well, and you potentially want to reverse that next week? I don't know the rest of your strength for your squad. For free, yes. -4 when he could yet play this week. I'm not sure. Discord in my head, James help. Do I start or bench Doherty this week? It depends who you'd be playing instead, doesn't it? Have a look at the benching dilemma screen. Hopefully that will help you. Stan says, morning James, money aside, who do you think is the better City mid pick, KDB or Foden? Money aside, KDB. Like, if you can go to KDB, go KDB. That would be clear for me. But I also think Foden's worth the saving of the money. Generally speaking, over this period, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. Like, if you can afford to get someone, as long as it doesn't impact your next couple of transfers, fine. Just go KDB, mate, if you can afford to. Matthew Hogman says, morning James, hope you're well. Sky question, I've got Tyler Adams. Would you move to a Akanji or Rashford today, or hold Adams? Don't need any for captaincy. I'd probably hold. The player you're getting in is going to be worth the value of the transfer with this little period of left, is what I'd say. And there are players you could go to tomorrow, subject to what value you've got in the bank, for example. But I would hold now, and obviously, look, if the information after the game tonight is bad, then obviously look at options for the games tomorrow. If you can get to a Casemiro, maybe even a Lindelof, for example. I'm not sure what price Victor Lindelof is, but I imagine you'll play the next 3. Could be an interesting short-term one. Miena Sidom says, hey James, Trent for Veltman and Anthony Saka for Bowen -4, or just do 1 transfer, play Gay. Good luck in the game week. Well, part of the reason for me getting stuff sorted and not just relying on Gay was, obviously, if Haaland is a no-show and Bowen's a no-show, then obviously I'm in a little bit of trouble, right? Which I can't afford to be. So I'm going to say, yeah, crack on, get it done. Veltman, De Zerbi wasn't clear, but my guess would be probably be out for a few weeks. Johan Green says, hit the like button for Harry, lads. Cheers. Harry, can you say hit a like? I don't know, but he just pointed at me. Shani Razzle says, Big James, how much of a super chat required to get you to admit? It's not happening, mate. Andy P says, hi James, Man City team news, 10:45. Martin Taylor, evidently team news and ticks are announcing Haaland news at 10:45. Yes, that's the information that I've had. I don't have the information of what that is as yet. Might be coming in now. Okay, that's big if true. Sounds like no Haaland or Foden. So this is from Leak 9-Ups, Team News and Ticks on Instagram, who's very in the know. And I'll read exactly what it says. It says, you're all here for Leicester, right? Conflicting reports, but I'm told Vardy, Barnes, Maddison start. That's not a surprise considering Vardy's historical record against Manchester City. That's the 10:45 update. Oh, I'm also told that Haaland and Foden aren't starting. That's the information. Thanks very much, Chris and Rob. Appreciate that. I'm sure the chat probably further down is already going off. So you don't need to put your comments there. I'm aware of it. Thanks very much. Do us the favour of deleting them if you so kindly would, so I can just quickly jump through as many of these questions as I can before deadline. So according to Team News and Team News and Ticks on Instagram, who, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been wrong in the past. He says neither Haaland or Foden start for Manchester City. Now there's a big decision to make with Phil Foden. That's a pain in the arse, that is, if that's true. Okay, I'm going to have a little think. I'll be straight away. My instinct is I will move the captaincy to Salah. Leave Haaland in the team, certainly. That's my first instinct. I need to make a decision on Foden possibly as well. Okay, we'll have a little think. But it's highly likely I will probably move the captaincy to Mo Salah on the basis of that news. Right, okay. Paul Gibbons, do you think the Almiron goals will keep coming every week? I say no, but they keep coming. Look, he's in super form, and a few people have asked questions about him versus certain others, and he wouldn't be my preference. But if people do want to go there, absolutely fine to go with that at the moment. He's absolutely on fire. I was so impressed with him last week. Eddie Howe's got the player out there that so many Newcastle fans always thought was there, but was never replicating to return. So, would I expect him to keep returning at the rate that he is? No, not particularly. Is he a decent value buy for the rest of this? Absolutely. Wasn't he second highest scoring midfielder in the game? Absolutely. Anyone wants to buy him, crack on. Go ahead. And the fixtures aren't bad either. Suleiman Ali says, should I do Robertson and Zaha to Trippier and Saka? That's a no from me. Jack Attack, Perisic to Trent or Perisic Darwin to Tomiyasu and Darwin, -4. That's good as he's selling Darwin and buying Darwin. I'm going to say option 1 and I'll make Gary Proctor, Bowen to Saka or Bowen to Rashford and Solanke to Nunes, -4. I'm thinking on the news we've got now, probably the -4 is the right answer. Guys, keep the information, patrons, keep the information coming if we've got anything extra on that, but I think we can only assume it's right, can't we? I probably should go into FPL now, shouldn't I? As it's 10 minutes, 9 minutes to deadline, I'll make it, guys. So please forgive me if I don't get your question, but I obviously have to do something with my own team as well. That's silly not to make Saka captain, isn't it? So, do I pick Doherty in the team ahead of Foden based on that information? When I'm not certain that the dock starts. It's a big call, isn't it? I don't want to be benching Phil Foden. Selling is not an option for me. Similar with Haaland, those 2 games to come, I'm only going to want it back. It's not an option. And I wouldn't consider a -4 for the 1 week at this stage. It's irrespective of what I've already done. It's now just one decision. Is it worth a -4 to remove him for someone? Knowing that I want him straight back. So this is so you look at that and you go, right, Foden, Saka, 1 week. Or do I do it and not go back? Is that the way to go? Okay, I have moved to captaincy to Salah as the first thing to say. Who should we go vice, James? I was just going to put it on Foden. I think I'll stick it on Martinelli for the time being as vice. That's probably just about right. Have we got any doubt on Martinelli starting tomorrow? What's the chance that Salah gets a 0 tonight? Almost none, isn't it? It doesn't particularly matter. Right, Alistair Hargreaves. Solanke out for Calvert-Lewin -4. This would be a back-to-back hit. Not keen on that. Owen Jones. Everyone drop James a like. We want to ramp this guy up to number 1. He deserves it. Thanks, mate. Appreciate the messages as well, pal. Andy P says, hi, James. You're looking good as always. Get down to Specsavers. Boring question. Which goalkeeper would start? Ward or Henderson? Cheers. Oh. Henderson. There you go. Alan Russell says Jesus or Wilson next 3 fixtures. I would have gone Wilson. Marina Allison, mind you, I wouldn't have been able to afford to go to Jesus. There's possibly a little bit of influence in that. Just Wilson, I think, still. Marina says Allison on wildcard, yes or no? On wildcard now, honestly, yes. I'm going to say yes, actually. Because he's not probably blocking the third Liverpool player like he normally would in most seasons, so I don't mind that at all. Muskie says United struggle against low blocks. Yep, well aware of that, mate. I bought Rashford for 3 games. Mohammed says, morning, James. I need your help for the bench. Pick 3 to bench. Anderson, White, Gomez, Zaha, Martinelli, Andreas, Mitrovic, Kane. I'm going to guess you can't bench all 3 of them defenders. So I'm going to say Anderson, Gomez, Andreas. Owen Jones, will Sinistera be a good pick for next week? Bournemouth at home. Could go Rashford now, but held for 2 crap results, and I want the carrot at the end. It depends on fitness, doesn't it, mate? To be honest, I can't really answer that now. 1 week punty next week, yeah, sure, but remember they go to Tottenham on Gameweek 16 as well. Brandon says Captain Kane or Saka. Captaincy preferences are on screen. Dennis Maximoff, yes, we've got news. I've shared it. C. Tobbs, FPL line is Horton. No, I don't. Well, we do know. It sounds like he's not starting. Shani Russell, please open super chat, mate. Harry's a legend, so I want to drop a donation. Join us on Patreon. Join us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. I will tell you after deadline some of the stuff we've got planned coming up. Graham Roy says, hey James, nice to finally catch you live from Kenya. Thinking about bowing out for either Rashford or Martinelli. Which do you think has more upside? Well, more upside is probably Rashford in terms of being a differential. Kartik says, Zaha, Gay or Almiron need to start 1. Zaha. Discord in my head. Thanks and good luck, says Salah to KDB captain. Okay, crack on. Shani Russell, Harry sound effects for the win. Matthew Azeji, no start for Foden. Haaland apparently, as we've had. Keith Rowley saying the same. Thank you. Peter wants to start Perisic or Botman. I'd go Botman. Chris Carter, thank you. Adam Keener. Yep, got that. Thank you very much as well to Personal Pet Care. Jake Atherton, I presume you were saying the same thing and retracted your messages. That's the way to go. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Callum says bought Foden in 1 minute ago. James Brennan says 1 for after the deadline. Do you listen to the Football Cliches podcast? And if so, would you ever consider going on the pod given the opportunity? I've never had the chance to listen to it, but I hear very good things about it. I think it's one of the best around, so people tell me. Would I go on it? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll go on anyone's show. Terry Am, especially if there's money involved. I'll do it for free. Terry Am says, Bowen and Firmino to Darwin, Rashford -4. Captain Darwin is a no. I've done this one before. SH1M1 says, I think he's joking about Foden and Haaland, hence the wink. He's copying what the impersonator said on Twitter. I don't think he is, because he's grown his account based on telling the truth. And he's had the info. And it's worth saying, he does only say, I'm told that Haaland and Foden aren't starting. He hasn't said they're not starting. He said, I've been told. But I don't think he's on the wind up there. I'd be very, very surprised. No intention to bench Haaland for me, by the way. Absolutely none. I'm just making a decision now on Foden. Not selling. Not selling. Do I start the dock over him is what I'm thinking about. Bryce says, start Andreas ahead of Foden now. I think that's a yes. Hamza Ali, start only 1. Andreas, Gay, Doherty, Andreas. Owen Jones, surely your bench bails you out there. Yeah, I think it probably does, mate. Yeah, thanks, Ossie B. We've got it. John Mensa says, bench Foden and start Doc. Yeah, that's what I'm debating, mate. I haven't decided myself, so I can't answer the question for you. I'm trying to make a decision now. Lynn Tony says, play Castagne or Webster. Play Castagne or Webster. Christ, I don't even know who they're playing. Webster. Ruman says, yep, we've got that, thanks. Michael Dawson, we've got that, thank you. Hamza, Doherty over Gahey, mate. Frederick, start Haaland, Andreas first bench. Yeah, that's fine. Ryan says, phone to Saka for free. Obvious now. Yeah, probably. I think it's free, a dive in and out, yeah. Possibly. Just know you might want to go back. Is Saka worth the -4 now? It might only be 1 game. It might cost me another -4 to get Foden back next week. So it could be effectively 8 points. It's not worth it. It's not for me. It's not to say it's not for you. It's not worth it for me. Do we start the dock here, James? There's every chance he's just fucking benched as well. I think we've got to use the information here, haven't we? think. Go Gay first sub over Foden, I think. Then Gay's my coverage for Haaland. That's where I think I'm at with this, decision-wise. Chris Ewers says website has crashed for me. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's crashed. There you go. That's the danger of leaving shit last minute, right? It genuinely has crashed. Wow. So I'm gonna presume that change didn't go through for me. I had already moved captaincy to Salah. I mean, look, I've been in that much of a deliberation about it. If it turns out Foden's still in the team, I'm not that bothered. Because I couldn't make my mind up anyway. So, but it does look like, website is unavailable. I'm not using that fucking app, Ian. I'll end up with fucking Gay Captain C or something. Owen Walsh says, Boona crashed the site, man. Yes, the site is down. We've got it. Yeah, it's absolutely true. And it is, as far as I'm concerned, now 11 o'clock. The game is updating. That's it. Done. I have no idea. I mean, I pressed save team. So I have no idea if it went through or not. I'm not that bothered because I was thinking about it enough. And I was, as you know, very indecisive because I've got no overall confidence that Doherty starts anyway. So look, it'll be what it'll be. I'm not that bothered either way. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if neither of them get on the pitch, then Doherty's coming in the team anyway. That's probably the most likely. Probably would have shoved around Gay first sub over Foden. But yeah, great. This is always the danger with leaving it last minute. But look, I think for the majority of us, most of us look like we've benefited from some information there. Definitely the captaincy was moved to Mo Salah. And the vice was moved to Gabriel Martinelli. Harry, come and say hello. That's a no. Right. Anyway, deadline's gone. I wish you all the very best of luck this week. Hope your arrows are green. If you came just for the FPL, please smash a like and hit the sub button on your way out. Have a child to feed. It doesn't cost anything to press the fun button. What does cost is Patreon. If anyone's got any non-FPL questions, smash them in the chat and we'll go through a few. If you just came from the FPL, thanks very much. Have a good weekend. Patreon. So it's a new month in November. No shit, James. On Tuesday, it's a new month. Have some fucking water, mate. Ryan saying gutted site went down 2 minutes ago, so couldn't do Foden Saka. Cheers, Neil. Thanks very much. Kartik thinks my move would have gone, but it doesn't matter. Honestly, I was so indecisive about it that I certainly can't be upset if it hasn't. Put it that way. Yeah. Rebel Dog says just lol at Harry. No. Harry is having a great time, Stu. He's always happy when he's got the iPad, the little bugger. Right, Patreon. So, look, a few people said, start Super Chat, I want to pay you. Support us on Patreon. £3 a month. £3. Gets you into Slack. And there's a few things we're going to do, and we'll talk about this more on Monday's podcast. Importantly, during November, content will be ongoing. It's going to look a little bit different during the World Cup. So instead of podcasts for intermediate and advanced tier patrons during the first 6 midweek days during the World Cup, we're going to do watch-alongs for a game each day. And I'm going to have some different people joining me. So on Monday the 21st, me and Suj will do Netherlands versus Senegal straight after the England game. On the Tuesday, Peter Featherstone, who many of you will know as FPL Team, from his brilliant planning website, will be joining me for Argentina, Saudi Arabia, 10 a.m. that morning. Clayton from the Arsenal Bite Size podcast, Clates AFC, will be joining me on the Wednesday at 1 p.m. for Germany against Japan. Nico, the video editor, he's obviously Portuguese. He's going to do the 4 p.m. Thursday game with me, which is Portugal against Ghana. On the Friday morning at 10 a.m, Adam Pritchard, our Arsenal correspondent, is going to join me for Wales versus Iran. And the following Monday, Suj is going to do Brazil versus Switzerland with me at 4 p.m. as well. So that's what we're doing to replace the Patreon podcast. What I'll be doing in terms of the freely available content over those 6 particular days is what I did a couple of weeks ago. I'll be doing a stream at 8 a.m. in the morning. They will probably only be half-hour streams. Be kind of me giving a breakdown of what I've seen over the previous day to try and give you something that's live and relevant. I will take a handful of questions. It won't work quite in the same way as the Ask James, and I will keep it short form so people can get important information via the podcast as well. Before the first game of the day, or at least if people want to listen at lunchtime, it's only the one game that will be out of date, for example. We don't quite know which fantasy game we're going to be focusing on yet, but I know it looks like there's going to be a Sky World Cup game, which is absolutely amazing. And if so, we'll certainly be playing that. But what we cover from a content perspective may well vary. So otherwise, November will kind of look the same. And obviously, as the World Cup gets into the knockout stages, the more we'll move back into the FPL stuff. And as we get into early December, we'll do some EFL stuff when that restarts as well. Because the Premier League's obviously not going to restart till Boxing Day. December is free on Patreon for everybody. So if you do sign up in November, to be honest, you can sign up now and I'll refund you for the rest of this month. But if you do sign up on the 1st, essentially you get 2 months for the price of 1. And also in January, we're going to bump everybody up a tier. So anybody who signs up at basic tier. So if you signed up this week at basic tier, you get into Slack, access to my spreadsheet throughout November. You get no charge in December. And then in January, you will get charged again, but you get access to all the podcasts that we'll do in January when obviously FPL, etc. has restarted as well. This is very much a come and try the service that we do. And obviously, if you don't like it, you can go. That's it. But we'd love to have your support on Patreon. We'll speak about that again on the podcast. There'll be a lot of listeners we've got are only audio listeners. So we'll repeat that message on Monday's podcast. But yeah, if you want to support us, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. If you want to jump on now before Tuesday, you're free to do so, and I will refund your payment so you're not charged twice in a week. If you want to join in November, you get 2 months for the price of 1, and you will get bumped up a tier in January as well. So anybody intermediate will get the advanced tier content. Advanced tier patrons will get extra as well. We want to grow our community, and we'd love to have as many of you as possible join us. The 650 plus strong that we have in the community now. It would be great. I'd love to think this time next year we could be at the 1,000 number, possibly. Let's see, that needs people's support. And if I don't get enough patrons, then yeah, we'll open the fucking super chats. We need more money. I've got a child to feed, don't you know? Right, as I said, any non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat now. Sayuj says best holiday destination. Well, as I said earlier, mate, Istanbul first week of June next year is what I've got planned. Imagine probably this time next week I'll be saying Budapest. It's every chance. Kartik says City or Arsenal for the title this season. Look, Arsenal absolutely within a shot, no doubt about it. But it is hard pressed to look beyond City. Of course it is. I think City's big period is kind of in January. We've got Chelsea away, United away, Tottenham away, and there's every chance to rearrange. Arsenal fixture might get thrown in there as well. It's going to be a really important period. If City come out of that top of the league, can't see past them, to be honest. But Arsenal deserve to be in the conversation at the moment. Theodore says, did you captain Haaland, James? Nope, changed it to Salah, mate. Kartik says, are you travelling to the Vitality today, James? If I was, mate, this stream wouldn't be happening. Because I'd have left long ago. If I left now, I wouldn't make kickoff, mate. So I'd have been leaving a long time ago, mate. Not helped by the fact there's a rail replacement service today between Eastleigh and Southampton to as well. So it would have had to be train, bus, train, and then coming back, train, bus, train as well. I need to work out how I'm going to get to Nottingham on Wednesday the 9th for the League Cup tie as well. Trains are booked, but I don't know if they're going to survive the strikes. Asil says, if someone offered you £100,000 but no football for a year, would you do it? It's ridiculous that I'm even thinking about that. It's not the no football, it's the no Tottenham. Like, if you said to me, you can have Tottenham but don't watch anything else, yeah, no, I could easily mean, that covers my salary comfortably, right? More by a long way. I could easily not watch any other football. Easily. No Tottenham, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. And it's not a life-changing sum. It's not a life-changing sum. I'd still have to work on that money. You put a money in front of me that secures my family's future forever, then it's a different conversation. Asil says, your Euro 2020 prediction of Italy was spot on. Waiting for your World Cup overview and predictions. It did help that I did a lot of analysis for one of the Talking Tactics videos we did prior to the tournament. Was very impressed with what I was seeing from Italy stylistically when I looked at them prior to the tournament. In terms of the tip for the World Cup now, I've not done the proper research yet. I've been wrong a lot, by the way, in terms of tournament predictions. I feel like whoever I tipped up in 18 might have gone out in the group stage, maybe. I backed Spain. They lost to Russia in the last 16, didn't they? I backed Spain in 18. 2016, I actually tipped up Poland, lost on penalties in the quarterfinals to Portugal. 14, Brazil. That ended well in the semi-final. 2012, Spain. 2010, I had 200 quid on Spain in 2010, actually. So, yeah, it's mixed bag, put it that way. Mark Ellison says, you're an absolute legend, James. Thanks for your work. You're very kind, mate. Thanks, Mark. Have a great weekend. Atul Balaji says, hey, James. Just joining. You guys are the best. Patreon is so worth it. Big thank you for making my therapy free for December. You're very welcome, mate. Ian Parron says, hiya, mate. Hope all is well. What do you make of Sky doing a World Cup game? Hopefully means it's here to stay a while longer than we might have thought. Well, to be honest, Ian, yeah, that's the big takeaway, that if they're pushing this, then are they happy to obviously continue with the game, was the main takeaway, and you would think that's good news, I'd hope, because I love playing Sky, and I don't want to think about doing content for anything else next year instead of Sky. Would I play the World Cup game? Absolutely. I'd be conscious of promoting that as a World Cup game for the content. Certainly will mention it, but I'd be conscious of promoting it as the main content, because obviously we've got so many listeners from around the world, whereas I think people know, okay, you've got a dedicated Sky podcast, people can either listen or not, but I think to mix that into the World Cup content, I'm not sure if I'll do yet. I'm not going to have the time to do a Sky podcast and something else or anything like that. Could maybe look at an idea of some short form stuff, but to be honest, I want to watch football, Ian, right? But yeah, hopefully it's good news on Sky. I mean, if they're doing it, I'm fascinated to see how many transfers and stuff like that. Be great, amazing. I'm used to playing UCL Fantasy as well, so quite used to the short form format. We have UCL Fantasy pods on Patreon every Tuesday when there's Champions League midweek as well. So there'll be a last one of them for a while on Tuesday, and then there'll be Money in Football the week after. Yeah, really looking forward to it, Ian. Sebo Sly says, is Conte on a Shugli peg? What's a Shugli peg? I'm 1974. Takeaway of choice. Depends. So, like, if Tottenham lose today, it's kebab certainty. If we win, I'm more open to different ideas. Theodore says, did you bench Foden? I benched both him and Haaland. Never considered benching Haaland. Because I honestly think that even in 20 minutes, Haaland in 20 minutes might be a better asset than Gay. That, honestly, and I didn't even think twice about that. Foden is different when you're having that as a debate. The honest answer is I don't know. I don't know, because I pressed save team with a minute to go, and it didn't save. And as I said, if you're joining in late, I'm not that bothered because I spent long enough thinking about it. I only got myself to blame for waiting that long, and I was unsure of doing it anyway. So. Ethan Williams says you should really consider doing more football non-FPL related podcasts, mate. We do. So, I mean, People's Poll podcast this week. I haven't decided on the topics. I think what's going on at commentary will probably be one of the topics. So that's, you know, if people vote for that, it's going to be non-FPL. If I go down that route, it's going to be non-FPL stuff. We'll in the build up to the World Cup, we'll obviously talk about what's potentially going to happen on the field, and we'll also talk, and I think it's important to do it right before the tournament, talk about the issues so many of us have with the off the field stuff, and make sure that message is clear at its most impactful point. Not that I can have massive impact, but I just think it's the right time to say to our listeners again, look, okay, fine, the World Cup's there, the football's on. Obviously, we're going to support our country and stuff, but it shouldn't be there, and we'll explain why. And it's a number of reasons. Money and football, as I mentioned, will be back the Tuesday afterwards, where we really dive into the money side of thing on Patreon and stuff. So I think quite often Clash of the Correspondents, I mean, if you take last Thursday's Clash of the Correspondents with Brentford and Wolves, with Tom Med and Bradley Parker, I mean, obviously we spoke about Tony from an FPL perspective, but other than that, 80-85% of the podcast is completely irrelevant to FPL. It's more about what's happening at the clubs. We spoke a lot about the ownership and how those two clubs, despite Brentford being a lot smaller, are being very well run at the moment, and Wolves looks like a fucking circus. So yeah, I'm thoroughly interested and always open to the non-FPL stuff. This is why I like doing this bit at the end, because it's quite intense FPL, so it's nice to relax afterwards and just have a talk about what we fell in love with in the first place, which was football, right? I think the majority of people got into FPL because they got into football, I'm going to guess, rather than the other way around. So football is always first for me. Will Bill says, which two current Premier League players do you see being the next Carragher versus Neville on Sky Sports? Maddison's a name we've mentioned a few times, who comes across like he'd be great fun on the TV. I think Eric Dyer, actually, if it's very articulate, if he decided not to go down into management in the future, I imagine he's someone who would. And I imagine he'll end up in one or the other. Very articulate Eric, very switched on, very, very intelligent man. So I think he'd be an interesting one, possibly. The problem is with those two, Neville and Carragher, because they played for Neville, obviously so much for England, Carragher obviously quite a bit as well. Neville and Carragher, because they played for United and Liverpool, in all honesty, a lot higher profile. So you are potentially looking at players, to be honest, from those sort of clubs as well. I'm just trying to think in the United team. No, can't see it. Liverpool. Henderson. Jordan Henderson stands out as someone, maybe, doesn't he? I think. Right, someone wants to see Harry. Right, that's the end of it. You can see Harry. Hang on. Come here. Come here. People want to see you. You're popular. Come here. Up, 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 up. There we go. You're too short if I lift my leg up. Hi. It's Harry. Can you say hello? No. No. Here, go on. We love you. Everyone loves you. Right, questions. There you go, Martin. You got to meet Harry. There you go. Super Tiger says, which other team in Spurs Champions League group would you want to qualify with you for the knockout stages? God, I couldn't give a toss, mate. Couldn't care. It won't be Marseille. It's impossible. It won't be Marseille. So it's Lisbon or Frankfurt if we go through. I wouldn't have a preference, mate. Honestly, would have zero preference. I imagine they'd get beat by whoever they played. I've not been overly impressed with either. I actually think Marseille are, despite the fact they're bottom of the group, I actually think Marseille are the best of the three teams we played, which does have me worried for Tuesday night. Charles Hancock, if you couldn't live in England, Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland? I haven't had the pleasure of Northern Ireland. Wales I have, but only really for football reasons. I've seen more of Scotland. I, as a kid, had friends in Aberdeen right up north. I've been in Glasgow. I've been in Dundee. I've not been to Edinburgh, and that's certainly a bucket list one. I really regretted not. We played Hearts in a Europa qualifier in 2011, and I really regretted not going. But I couldn't really take 2 days off work at the time. I was debating getting a sleeper train back overnight. It was ridiculous for a fucking qualifier. It just wasn't worth it. We won 5-0. I wish I'd gone. It'd been good fun. Harry Kane missed a penalty in the second leg, actually. Young Harry Kane, and hadn't scored a goal for Tottenham at that time. It would have been his first goal for Spurs, which then later came against Shamrock Rovers in December of that year. But I would say Scotland. I think, yeah. I got told there'd be a lot of resistance, even as a child. You know, people notice your accent. So I didn't have any problems, to be honest. So Scotland for me. And what I was also thinking is it easier for me to get from Scotland to Tottenham or Wales to Tottenham? And actually, unbelievably, it's probably about the same. I'm thinking, I guess Cardiff probably closer. I think if I was in Swansea or something, it's probably not a lot of difference. Glasgow to London or Swansea to Paddington. I suppose Wales slightly closer, but not enough to make a difference. So I'm going to say Scotland. Jonathan says, everybody asked, why did you start supporting Spurs, but why did your dad start supporting Spurs? Same reason, mate. Dad went to Spurs. His dad went to Spurs. So, yeah, it never ends until this little boy here decides he's not interested. And if he's not interested, he's not interested. But, yeah, family passed down, mate. Jeremy Mayers, good day, James. Do you think Maddison is a realistic target for Tottenham in this January window or beyond, and would you want him at the club? Thanks for the content. Listen, I wouldn't say no to James Maddison. Really like him as a player. I just think when everyone's fit and in the favoured system we play, he doesn't get in the team. It's a reality, honestly. I've spoken a bit about Tielemans more recently. I think his performances have stepped up again during this little period for Leicester. And I think he offers variety as well, in the sense that I think you can play him as a 10. I think you can play him as a 6, 8 or 10. Maddison, I think you can only really kind of play as in a deeper. You could play him as an 8 in a midfield 3. But I wouldn't be overly comfortable with it even against the top teams. It'd be great against games where you want more control and stuff and you're dominating the ball. And I could only really see him playing the 2 really late in fixtures. And I think Tielemans does have the eye for stuff as well. Harry, it's a bit, meh. Would I take James Maddison happily? Yes. I suspect he'll end up at Newcastle, by the way. I don't think it'll be in January. Taz says, living in a castle with a moat or on a yacht will keep away that killer snail. I think it can swim, mate. So, yeah, I just don't think it's getting away from it. James Brennan says, which United players would you take to World Cup for England? Which United players would I take to the World Cup? Luke Shaw, obviously. I think Maguire does go. I think I would still take him in the squad because there's a lot of guys there who are obviously inexperienced, and I think even if he wasn't going to play, I think that would help. So I would probably still take Maguire. And to be honest, I know Southgate's going to take him, so it's not even worth debating. It is what it is. On top of that, in all honesty, I think Rashford will be borderline. I would probably sneak him in. Jadon Sancho wouldn't go for me. It's just too many other good options in those wide areas who I'd prefer over him at the moment. Rashford, I think, would sneak in because of his adaptability. Sancho, I don't think would go. Am I missing anyone? I think I am I? That's it, isn't it? Rob Pick says, back in Gameweek 8, I accidentally sold Haaland on my wildcard, so I had no value in him. Bought Kane for -4 this week with intent to reverse next week. Am I insane? Good luck, mate. Ask me on Monday, mate. Sebo Slice says, surely Peg means his position under threat. Nah, it's not, mate. Super Tiger says, with Barcelona not going through in the Champions League, it may be time for an update pod on their finances. There could be some big sales there to cover the finance costs. Sort of basket cases. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, maybe. Theodore says, who you captain? Sky James. You selling Haaland or Foden? Oh, that's... No, I wouldn't sell. I'd just stick with it. Captain, I've got Mo, so be Salah for me. Rebel Dog, just to echo others' thoughts, James, this deadline stream knocks all others clean out the water, bud. Time for 70 miles on my bike this afternoon. Jesus captain for me after the Haaland news. Thank you, mate. It's very kind of you to say. Good luck. Happy cycling. Yeah, cycling. You did say on the bike. Frederick says, history of Kafala is interesting. Seal says, thanks, James. Love your non-FPL pods. Your content is way better than Talk Sports. No comment. Hopefully one day Sky or BT invite you as a pundit. No comment, mate. Big Geek says, I started FPL last season to try and beat my brother knowing zero football. I listened to your pods and won. Okay, that's a nice story. TW says, Eric doesn't even know the offside rule like the pundits, so fits in, Eric. I think a lot of us needed clarity on that decision the other night, to be fair. Yeah, a lot of the pundits didn't know either. Harry, some people want to say hello to you. Theodore, Flop to Joe, Frederick. Hey, Harry, is that a Barcelona pyjamas? No, he's still in his pyjamas, I'm not going to lie. They're not Barcelona pyjamas. They're superheroes like Hulk and Captain America and stuff. And straight after this, we're getting dressed and we're going out for a little bit. I'm not bothered about missing Man City. I need to watch Tottenham. It's far more important to me. Rebel Dog, happy days with the boy. James, have a great day. Duff Roses, what a head of hair. All mine is falling out. He definitely didn't get the hair from me. That's a certainty. Yeah, as Martin Boyles just pointed out, he certainly didn't get his dad's hair, did he? Birth Media says, who do you think will be the first English manager to win the Premier League? And in how many years would you expect this from now? Eddie Howe 4. There you go. Martin Taylor also wants to say hello to you, Harry. You're very welcome, mate. And Therese Cave also wants to say hello. I think that's it. And I'm going to end the stream now before the Man City team comes out, because otherwise this stream will never end. And I do want to take Harry out. So thanks for bearing with us. Love you all. If you can support us on patreon.com/planetfpl, we'd love to have your support. Suj will be with me again on Monday for the season 6 episode 20 game week 14 review. Tuesday will be People's Poll, Wednesday Sky Fantasy, Thursday's Clash of Correspondence, Everton versus Leicester with Sean Norton, Aaron Lager. That should be available for all patrons on Monday. I'm actually pre-recording that tomorrow night. Friday will most likely be Ask James. A deadline stream, remember, next week is later. There is no 12:30 kickoff. So deadline stream should be at 12:30 p.m. UK time, which I think means a lay-in for me, Harry. That would be amazing. Patreon content this week. Our podcast will be a Q&A Monday. Tuesday will be Champions League preview. Oh, Lamichi is joining me for the Sky podcast this week, one of our patrons. Wednesday, I don't know yet what that's going to be. Because Thursday's going to be Tottenham now, because Suj isn't available on Wednesday. Friday will be our Game Week 15 preview show. There'll be video content for advanced tiers, as well as 5-minute added on podcasts as well. Video content will include a talking tactics somewhere, but I haven't decided on what as yet. Keith, I think we've had the news. He says, take care all. Jay Barker says, Sam Lee confirms no Haaland in squad and Foden on bench. There you go. So all that worrying didn't matter anyway if he's not in the squad. Right, that's it. I'm leaving. Love you all. Have a great weekend. I hope your arrows are green. Remember, be nice to each other. Ciao for now, everyone.